I'm going off the rails on a crazy train. Hello, guys, and welcome to another episode of Off the Rails. I'm your host, Kenny, and I am joined today with my friend...
Hey, everyone, I'm Tony. I'm the guy here pushing all the buttons and getting ready to just have a really good time. And as always, I'm joined with...
Ian. I'm the guy here pushing everyone else's buttons to make it so we all have our outrageous commentary.
And apparently Ian's not our friend. My God.
Yeah, well, Ian is definitely a friend. He's a little bit more than a friend. He's like that weird cousin that you have to invite over to Thanksgiving, you know, but then like he starts talking about crypto and you're just like, dude, I want to watch football.
This is what
Bro,
Thanksgiving's
it's
all
the
about.
Cowboys and the Lions. Who wants to watch that?
Okay, granted, but I would still rather watch that than have a discussion about
Who won,
your
by the way?
pyramid crypto scheme.
It doesn't matter because you know who lost? The audience having to watch.
Boom.
Who was playing? You said it was the Lions and who?
It seems like every Thanksgiving it's the Cowboys and the Lions.
The Cowboys and the Lions.
It's like the Thanksgiving game.
Because weren't the Lions just playing the 49ers last night?
We have a
I
coworker.
don't watch football. I don't know.
We have a coworker that is like hardcore for the Cowboys.
Who?
To the wall.
From the window to the wall.
And the sweat runs down my...
Sully?
Sully. Yeah. Apparently she is hardcore for the Cowboys.
Who names their daughter Sully?
So I'm going online. I'm going on the offensive with this one, and I'm finding the most egregious Cowboys memes, and I'm just gonna start spamming them to her until she reacts.
Do it.
Do it.
Actually, I do.
Give in to your anger.
Oh,
Your
hold on, we
hatred.
got a bad sound.
WTF, mate?
Well, maybe it's me.
Maybe it's you.
Neighborly.
I don't know about that one.
Hold on, it might be my. It might just be my headset.
It might be your imagination.
You're an imagination.
I'm not sick, but my voice has been really cruddy lately.
I thought you were finally going through puberty.
I don't know. Like, if this is my voice from now on. Maybe lock them doors and turn the lights down low. Put some music on that's soft and slow. Maybe we ain't got no place to go. I hope you understand. There's no hurry. Don't you worry. We can take our time. Come a little closer and let's go over what I had in mind.
We're good.
Maybe lock them. Awesome.
We're good. It was my headset. Doing
Oh.
quality check on our. Sometimes my Bluetooth, because when I do quality check, just I'm saying this for the audience sake, when I do quality check after the stream started, I open up my phone and listen to it on my Bluetooth headset. Well, sometimes the connection on the Bluetooth is not the greatest, and so it like cuts in and out at like millisecond intervals.
Oh.
Yeah. So
Bummer,
it
dude.
sounds really bad. It sounds like, you know, the robot setting on the little toy megaphones that you would get as a kid?
Oh.
A little bit like that.
That's no bueno.
Yeah. So I had to double check. But no, we're good. We're good. It was my Bluetooth headset, which, I mean, what do you get? I got them off the cashier rack at Walmart. Yeah. Not...
Yep. Just like the grocery outlet microphones that we got.
I gotta buy those cheap because like I lose them so often. This is probably the 20th pair that I've had in the last 2 years.
Oh no. What are you doing?
I lose them.
Uh-oh.
I lose them. Well, okay, so the last pair I had, I actually didn't lose. My dog ate them.
Did he though?
He did.
Did he though?
The real dog or stew meat?
No, the real dog, Forrest. Like he came up.
Who's the not real dog?
Finian?
We call him stew meat. Yeah, that's always gonna be useful for it.
That's what he refers to my wife's dog as stew meat.
Stew me.
Yeah, stew meat.
Oh, stew meat.
Like
Stew meat.
like you're gonna.
Why
cut
is
it
this?
up
Is
for
this
the
dog
stew.
really small? Is that why?
Yeah, it's like this little rat thing.
Is it like a Chihuahua?
And,
Pomeranian.
It's a little bigger than a Chihuahua.
It's some sort of terrier, I think.
Yeah.
The only small dog that's adorable is a dachshund.
Agreed.
Yes, 100%.
Dachshunds are amazing.
Or
They got
one-
more personality than some people.
Yeah, true.
True.
Actually. Oh, on my route, there's like this mixture between a pit bull and a Dachshund. It's like a little wiener pit. It is the coolest.
this sound like a tiny body with really big shoulders and a fat
It is. It really is. It's just like that. It's like this little. It's like a stocky wiener dog with a Staffordshire Terrier head. That's a breed of pit.
Yeah.
Head on there. And it's got like these kind of massive paws. It is so adorable. 100%. Like I want to take it. I do. I just want to pull the bus over, but snatch it up.
You remember back when David lived with me?
Yes.
You remember my two wiener dogs?
Yes.
They were actually crossbreed. They were Pekingese, Chihuahua, and wiener dog. They were Pikachuinis.
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 That sounds
Except
like
for
a
Tweety.
Pokemon.
I had two of them. Tweety was the dad. Kuda was the son. Tweety belonged to my dad, but when I moved out, he gave me Tweety so they'd stay together.
Aww.
Tweety was bred to kill badgers. He was built like, whoa. You seen those TikToks where the guy's like trying to open up his whey powder and he accidentally dumps some in his dog's food bowl? And then it shows like these really big dogs like
Yeah.
ripped and whatnot.
Yeah.
Like that, like he was a walking meme. He was muscled out. He was a huge weenie dog. It was like, that's an adorable weenie dog. And then he would flex and like, oh, Toro.
He's the glow up dog, is what he is.
He was big. He was big. And Kuda was his oldest son. Kuda, not quite as muscular, but was as big as him. And I love those guys more than life itself.
Dogs are awesome.
Yes, they are.
Awesome.
To completely switch gears now on you, geopolitics, because I have a calling. This one, not so much global. This is pretty close to home in the United States.
I mean, the United States is part of the Earth, so geopolitics could refer to domestic issues as well.
Texas. Let's talk about Texas for today. Texas. Texas.
My brother lives there.
I'm going to hit you with some questions here. What state is the biggest state by landmass?
Alaska.
Yeah.
Yes. That'd been really funny. Like, oh, I totally forgot about that. I mean, what's the second? No, I'm kidding. It is 100% Alaska. But number 2 is obviously
Texas.
Texas. What state has the biggest population?
Isn't it?
I want to say California, but I actually think it's New York.
It used to be New York. I almost said that backwards. New York. It was New York.
New York.
That sounds like a slur. Look at that Nork.
I'm gonna call that.
New York.
I'm gonna say that to our boss next week.
New York.
New York.
But yes, it was once upon a time New York, and then it was surpassed, I don't recall when, by California. Largest
Like I said,
California.
population.
like I said, I think.
What state has the second highest population?
Florida.
Nope. You're close, though. Florida be up there.
I feel like we're on a method, so I'm going to go with Texas.
It is, in fact, Texas.
It's a pretty big one, so yeah, that makes sense.
What state has, and I'm hoping I'm remembering this right, which state has the largest economy for businesses?
I'm not even sure that's New York.
California, isn't it?
California.
Okay, my bad.
They're
New York City
They're like
can-
a third of our agricultural import and export.
Touche.
So, here's the thing. New York City can only carry the state of New York so far when it comes to the battle of states. It is still a large city. But second place, guess what? Texas. Within the last 2 years, I believe it is, Texas has been responsible for 12% of the job growth rate in our nation alone.
I believe it.
Texas is blowing up right now.
Because everyone's running away from California.
And that, I mean, that actually makes a lot of sense. We have the massive the exodus of California, as it was called back in 2021. And then Elon Musk actually had to move his SpaceX and Tesla program from California to Texas. So moving all of those jobs over there. And then using his SpaceX and Tesla to help boost his Starlink. He's growing jobs there. You know, and the more people that show up there, the more demand for more industry, which means more jobs.
Texas has also got a lot of empty land for people to expand into.
Yeah, but it's not a lot of good land.
Well, it is nice though.
It's
The only land you
it's
got to be
not
worried
good
about.
It's not good for like residential and agriculture, but there's a lot of land to build on.
The
It's
land that you
touche.
got to be worried about is things that are within the path of hurricanes, which unfortunately means things like Austin, Texas,
Sucks for
Dallas.
Southeast Texas.
and I believe San Antonio. But that triangle that those make together is one of the most heavily industrialized business centers in the entire United States. And given that it's pretty much dead center of our nation, means that it's got equal access to both the West Coast and the East Coast. I believe it's the airport in Austin is the most traveled airport in the world for commerce and people. Goods is still Anchorage, Alaska, but
Yeah.
commerce and people, it is Austin, Texas, I believe. So there's a lot going on in Texas that makes it very attractive for businesses. Now the population is starting to boom because of this. There used to be a 13 million person deficit in population between Texas and California. It has now shrunk in the last 2 years alone from 13 million to 10 million difference. That would normally take a decade for that to happen. Also, in California's history, 2021, 2022 are the first years in their record that they've actually had a declining population. First time.
I can see that with all of the policies that Newsom put through.
So,
Yeah.
people are leaving California and people are going to Texas. It's crazy to think that Texas wasn't even a dominant state up until like the mid 90s. You know, it used to be behind Ohio in population. Can you believe that?
I can see that.
Doesn't that sound crazy? Behind Ohio. Ohio. I wouldn't want to be behind Ohio. I don't know why I'm dogging on Ohio. It just sounds like a really fun name to make fun of. Ohio.
Mahogany.
Mahogany. So yeah, Texas is blowing up. Now, Texas has got a lot of really cool things going for it because it's got agricultural development, aerospace technology development. It's one of the biggest financial centers behind New York. And then it's also got and this is kind of a fun fact. It's not necessarily like, oh, go Texas, but it's got the tallest building in the United States behind those in Manhattan. So,
Interesting fact. It actually has the second largest cross in the Western Hemisphere. It's in Groom, Texas.
is that is it behind the one in Rio de Janeiro? No, that's Jesus.
Christ the Redeemer.
That's just Jesus. Jesus, we need a hug. You remember what that's from?
I do. Oh, I'll eat it later. Yeah, that's TFS.
Yes.
Yeah. Shout out to TFS.
Well, are they the ones that did Hellsinger Bridge?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Yes, I like that scene. Some of them abridged series really, they have some bangers, absolute bangers.
I'm still rewatching Dragon Ball Z Abridged. Like I just want to.
It's amazing.
Constantly. I watch at least once.
The lines are so quotable.
I would almost say that they did a better job than the English dub of BBC.
Well, I think
That was
I
hard. It's how much effort that took to open.
I would think that they did better than anything 4Kids tried to do, outside of making the musical openings.
Yeah, 4Kids had excellent music openings, but like some of it was like, so there's this part where they're eating rice balls, right? What was it? It was Digimon or something like that. They're eating
Pokemon.
rice balls. Huh? Pokemon, and they called them hamburgers. They're like, wow, this hamburger's amazing. And there's clearly rice balls. So they, yeah, 4Kids was a little weird, but their opening music to the shows,
Fire.
spot on, just perfect.
I remember Sonic X from 4Kids.
Yeah, Sonic X, Digimon, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh.
Wow, you were young.
Chaotix. You remember that?
Chaotix, yeah.
Secret memory unlocked.
I had to. That was. That had that weird 3D animation to it. Yeah.
You had to dig for magic.
Do you know how fun that would be to play that game in real life? That would get you fit.
Yeah.
I would.
You remember Code Lyoko?
Oh,
That's a really old one.
that is. I liked that one. I liked the mix between the two styles of animation.
Do you guys remember G.I. Joe Sigma 6?
No.
I've never watched it.
Oh, you missing out. That was a good one. It had do you remember
That was that anime style one, right?
yeah. But it had like there it's kind of like Code Lyoko where it had anime but also had like 3D animated things. Like a lot of like the Cobra machines and stuff were 3D animated.
There was that weird time in the 90s when they had like a perfect mix between 3D animation and 2D animation. It was like peak animation era, and then they just threw that all away and went straight to CGI everything.
It sucks.
Yeah, I miss.
Speaking
that
of
one.
peak animation, 2003 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was the best Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle series I've ever seen.
Agreed, best series by far.
Yeah.
I think their
say-
story was also the best too.
Yeah, actually, I like that one for nostalgia purposes. The original.
The art style was amazing.
It was. Everything made sense.
And I will also say, I love that, but that is not my favorite Turtles property. The 2008 standalone TMNT movie.
That was a good one too.
That
Raph's
movie.
suit. Raph's suit.
That
was-
Raph and Leo fight.
Yeah, the vigilante suit and the fight between the two of them. That was so
Live action?
hard.
No, it was animated. It was CGI animated.
The movie?
Yeah, it
2008.
was so good. It was.
2008 movie. What was it about?
I got this. I just watched
All right,
it.
go
I
ahead.
actually just watched it.
No,
a
no,
couple
you
weeks
got
ago.
it. You got it.
So, it's kind of almost meant to be like a spiritual sequel to the series that you like. Shredder's dead,
Of course
Already.
it is.
and so it starts off with they've kind of won, like they stopped the Shredder, stopped the Foot Clan, and now they've kind of fallen apart a little bit. Like Splinter sent Leo to the Amazon to kind of train by himself and learn to become a better leader. Donnie and Mikey have kind of gotten into business together. Mikey's like this. He wears like a fake turtle head, uses like
foam nunchucks.
foam nunchucks, and is like a birthday party guy. Like he like has a fake zipper he'll put on his shell with like this fake hat. Donnie runs a tech support service, and Raph is still the only one actually fighting crime, but he's going out at night as the night watcher, this vigilante. And he's got this really cool black suit, and he's got a motorcycle. And
It's like it's an
chains.
armored suit
Mm.
with like lights on the helmet.
And it starts with Leo coming back, right?
It starts with Leo comes back, and then
First he fights a bunch of Colombian drug.
oh yeah,
lords.
and they don't show up, but Leo kills people in this movie. Like straight up, this one dude pulls a machete out and gives Leo the what for, like and you see Leo like pretty much like Naruto run towards him and dip and pull a katana, and you hear the guy scream, and it's just like
You got him. He's got his hands down with his sword pointed downward with his palm half open.
Mhm.
You know, kind of a leisurely grab, and then they go, and all you see is him grip it, and then takes off.
you see
and then
him like
cuts-
go like half swing, and then it cuts to like a shot of the jungle, and you hear him screaming, and you're like, oh, Leo just killed that guy. Leo straight up just killed that guy.
Yeah, that dude was disemboweled.
I
I
may have seen this because I recall the part where Leo was in the Amazon. Actually,
yeah,
there's some memory I have of that.
And April and Casey are working for this special company that deals in antiquities, and there's these like ancient stone statues that come to life. It's a whole
The
thing.
Immortals.
Yeah, it's on Amazon Prime. I think I would recommend you go watch it.
I think even if it's not on Prime, I'm pretty sure it's on Max.
I don't think it's on Max.
The 2003 show,
Yeah.
the best.
The 2003 show is the best show, but that 2008 movie is probably my favorite like TMNT property overall. Like it's so good.
Yeah, that had that CGI fight
Yeah,
between Raph and Leo was like so much better than almost. It was like it was in the top tier of anything coming out of Disney right now. It beats most of Marvel's fights.
and what's awesome is it really like put a focus. Like one of the big focuses of the movie is why do Raph and Leo fight so much? Why don't they get along? And it really brings all of that. What you can see is years of pent up aggression between the both of them. Pent up anger really brings it to a head in that fight. I'd also argue they definitively show who the better fighter is.
I kind of agree with you on that one because when it was just it was just a fist fight essentially between them,
Yeah,
and then it escalated.
and they pull weapons
They
on each other and
actually
actually
pulled
go.
weapons.
They actually, I mean, I don't know if Leo's quite going for the kill, but Raph is going for it.
No, Leo was going hard too. Leo
Yeah, there was that scene with the sword. He was like,
Yeah, Leo.
Is
was
that
going
movie?
hard.
Is that movie where
Yeah.
Leo? I don't know the way that, and this is not my analysis, but in Death Battle, did they talk about that scene?
I've
They
never
might
seen a
have.
Death Battle episode about the Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, they because they chose Leo for the candidate from the Turtles because they determined him to be the best of the four. And one of the things is that they in their analysis they believe Leo was trying to scare Raph in that moment by saying, "Hey, I could have killed you right there, but I chose not to." No, he purposely missed.
No, what I'm saying is the whole trying to scare did not scare Raph. It just made him more.
But
mad.
in their opinions, it was like Leo could have won right there before it escalated any farther. Like he could have chosen, like, all right, you're done. Night night. But he chose to miss.
I guess I can see that. You know, they are brothers and they don't actually want to kill each other. They were just really, really upset with one another. The same kind of argument could be going towards
Raph at the end there because he also pulls what could have been a very, very good killing blow.
Yeah,
He pulls it at the
I
very
was
end.
going to say Raph pulled punches too, but I mean they were going. At the very least, they wanted to hurt each other.
Oh yeah.
If not kill, they wanted to hurt each other.
Well, that's obvious between the two of them.
But,
But that's the one thing I've seen as an analysis between them fighting is that Death Battle says that Leo would most likely win against Raph.
I don't know, man.
I guess that one will. That's one of those things that will never actually be confirmed on because.
Makes me so sad that movie didn't get a sequel because they sequel bait hard at the end.
they sequel baited.
I mean, yeah, that was like the beginning of the decline. You know, they came out with some really good movies after that, but
Pour one out for our boys.
yeah, but that was like the beginning of the decline of the.
TMNT.
That being said, have y'all seen the Batman versus Ninja Turtles movie?
I have seen it.
I
Have you
not.
seen that Batman versus Shredder?
I haven't seen the movie.
What did they do to Shredder?
I haven't.
What do you mean?
Dude,
What?
He rocked Shredder. I didn't even watch the movie. I watched literally that scene.
I would argue it's much more of an even fight.
I don't recall Shredder doing like mumbo jumbo wavy hand illusion things.
He has techniques like that he's used.
I don't know. I don't think they sold me well on that one. Personally, I don't see Shredder as that kind of guy.
I don't know. I thought Batman was pretty brutal in there.
He
though.
was.
I mean, he bounced the dude's head off of a railing.
I thought it was cool when he throws him next to the computer and then like flying knees him into the computer.
Yeah.
That was really good.
Yeah, I like Batman, but I don't like how they did Shredder.
I don't know. I thought it was a pretty good fight scene. I thought, you know, what's awesome is it didn't appear to go super one way or the other. Like it showed that Batman's an amazing martial artist, but so is Shredder. You know, especially if you like watch the older cartoons, Shredder's almost seen as more of a joke. And in this, they're like, no, he's a pretty bad dude.
I never got that in the older cartoons as that he was more of a joke. I think it was just the animators had less ability to work with certain things as opposed to the animators now.
Agreed.
They have more access and
Well, no, but I'm talking about like the original cartoon with Krang and
no, I know. That's what I'm talking about too because I used to watch those when they aired on TV because I'm that old.
yeah, I know Dinosaur Man.
I'm like Gandalf hanging out with the Merry and Pippin here.
You did not.
But you're
compare
shorter
us
than
to
both of
Merry
us.
and Pippin.
I did, and you're Merry.
If Gandalf was shorter than Merry and Pippin.
I'll take that. I'm insulted, but significantly less than I was about to be if you had called me Pippin.
I'm not going to make you Pippin. There's no way you have a Pippin personality now. This guy, this guy is totally got a
So
Pippin
he's Merry?
personality. He's Merry.
So you're Merry. Makes sense because your last name is Bailey.
What?
You already sound feminine. Mary Bailey. You almost gave up your man card today and asked me what you wanted for dinner tonight. That was close, man. I almost took his man card and punched a hole in it. It would have been null and void.
If I knew he was going to go down this road, I wouldn't have said anything. I'm sorry.
So Mary is a wonderful name for you.
I haven't had anyone make fun of my middle name, of my last name, since I was in middle school. Well done, you childish Pippin little.
I don't
See,
even
I
know
would-
what Pippin's supposed to mean in that context.
See, like,
Because Pippin's the worst.
I would make fun of your last name, but Bailey, there's portions of my family that have the last name Bailey, and they're probably the only good part of the family. So
Besides, you've met my grandparents. You know what stock I come from. You can't besmirch that name. They're legendary
like,
people.
The Baileys that come from the Baileys that hail in my family are like the only ones that haven't been to jail. So
I know my stock. I know where I come from.
Well, Campbell's chicken noodle soup.
no celery.
I don't think that's stock.
Stalks of celery. Jinx Yome soda.
Oh. I bought you.
He got something out of that.
I bought you an apple juice. Fair. Fair. I don't really drink soda anymore. Fair.
We watched Gran Turismo last
we
night.
did. It was a pretty good movie.
Yeah, he told me you guys watched.
It was
I told him
fairly
that we
good.
watched Equalizer 3.
It was better than
And that
Equalizer
was-
3.
and That was not good.
I haven't seen Equalizer 3. I'm willing to bet it's better than
He
Equalizer
called,
3.
he called me.
I
Up.
was surprising how good Gran Turismo was.
Right? I knew it was going to be a good movie, but, like, I didn't know it was going to be that good. Like, I'm probably going to end up getting it when it comes out.
He calls me up and he's like, "Hey, I got a favor to ask." I said, "What?" He goes, "You think you can help me clean my house and I can take you out to the movies?" And I was like, "Movies?" He goes, "I know you want to watch Equalizer 3." I was like, "Stop. I already watched it. Don't waste your time." He goes, "You've already seen it?" I said, "Yep, Kenny and I went and watched it." He goes, "Okay." So no going to watch Equalizer 3. I said, nope.
You
It
Nope.
is not worth it, sir.
So before we talk about Gran
like
Turismo,
if you
I'm
can
curious
cut
to
it
hear what
off
you guys
after
are
like
thinking.
the first half hour, you could come away with a smile.
Yeah.
But if you
yeah.
keep watching it, you're gonna become disappointed.
Explain it.
Okay, so
The way they open up with the character, it's same fashion. It's a little bit more brutal this time around. Honestly, it is. But they open up. He's capable of doing some menacing things. He's calm. He's
here's-
collected. He's methodical about a lot of stuff.
I'm going to use an example really quick as far as the brutality of the opening scene. There's a dude pointing a revolver at him, and he not only goes to disarm the revolver, but he winds up pointing it at the dude's eyeball, and instead of shooting the gun, he elbow punches it, just a chicken wing, through the guy's head. Like the barrel goes in the eyeball and out the other side, and then proceeds to use him to shoot a guy on the other side of him. So he's holding this dude up by the revolver that is sticking out of his eye and shooting a guy on the other side.
Metal.
Now,
So,
the
brutality.
purpose of the brutality, though, was to well, it was exaggerated for the purposes of him having a moral dilemma.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is this who I'm supposed to be? Is this what's good for me? Because it's supposed to be, at least Tony and I agree, that it's supposed to be like an end. How does he want to go out? And not necessarily with the bang, because he's apparently flawless and can't lose any fight. But
Oh no, we'll get into that.
he has a problem like, am I a good guy? Am I a bad guy? How am I supposed to come to terms with what I've done? And so to make that a fundamental problem for his character, they illustrated him doing his work in a very gruesome fashion. They even show a part where he kills a guy, and on the other side of the guy's dead body is a mirror, and he gets to see himself. And so at that moment, he's kind of thinking like, what am I doing? Also, there's a very powerful scene in the opening where he's a man of decisions. He knows what needs to happen next. He's never at a loss for what's the next step. He gets
You remember
shot.
Equalizer 1 and 2. Robert McCall is very deliberate, very precise. Everything has to go according to time. That's why he wears a stopwatch.
He gets shot in the back by a kid. You think, because he just killed the kid's father or grandfather. I don't know exactly what the relationship was. But he just killed the kid's father. The kid comes out. And he's like, hey, you need to get back in that car. He gets ready to leave. The kid shoots him in the back. And he returns fire. It seems wild and sporadic, but it's called violence of action, where you try to respond by becoming violent in yourself to try and intimidate or scare or confuse whoever's trying to perpetrate against you. So he's flinging his gun around and he's firing in all kinds of directions until he can identify who's trying to hit him, because he's out in the open. There's no cover. He's just got to try and return fire. So he's blasting in different directions. He turns around. The kid's got a rifle or something like that, and he just blew a hole right into his back.
22 caliber rifle.
And he points the gun at the kid, and the kid throws the gun down and runs away. And then he's like, okay. And then he does that whole scene from Book of Eli where he's like stumbling around, and he's trying to stand up, and he's like looking
He's going
confused.
into shock is what he's doing.
But
he
it's
just took one in the back.
he's doing it basically the same way he did in the Book of Eli. Like, you could switch the places of those two characters, and they would be identical scene.
It's
And-
like they're acted by the same person.
Yes. But he's kind of laying there, and he's looking around, and he's pointing his gun, and then finally it just goes click, and his gun's out of ammo. And it was like, he just matter of factly just tried to kill himself. Like, there was no beat, there was no like strain. There was like, he was calm, collected, just nope, no bullets. This is my life. Boof.
It was so powerful because it was the first time in the trilogy that we've seen Robert McCall have the decision taken from him. This wasn't his call. This wasn't his choice. He has to endure.
Interesting.
But we get to see it's good. It's a good character moment for us as an audience, because we get to see his willpower, because he wills himself, as we find out later on, onto a farrier in a car. And he's kind of just sitting there bleeding out in the car, and later on we find him on the side of the road somewhere in Italy. He's trying to get back, but he couldn't quite make it. But he got that far with a bullet wound in his back. gets picked up by a cop who takes him to a doctor who really doesn't ask a whole lot of questions. And it comes ahead with the whole idea, are you a good guy or are you a bad guy? And Denzel says, I don't know. We don't really understand what that means for us as an audience until later. It's supposed to have a meaning later on in the movie, but it doesn't really make sense.
It has a meaning, or a meaning. Why was that hard to say? I don't know. It has a meaning. It just doesn't fit.
It's not relevant. It sounds good. It's one of those things like in Star Wars where it sounded good, but then when you dissect it, it's like that doesn't have value. And I'll give you a good example in Star Wars that doesn't have value. We don't win by killing what we hate, but by saving what we love.
That is poison.
It sounds like fortune
That is-
cookie advice,
that
but
is
it makes
so
no sense.
Fortune cookie advice. I see what you did there. Considering who said it.
So
That is a poisonous statement. I can't. It's from TLJ, so you wouldn't know.
Yeah, I fell asleep on that one in the theaters.
it's because later on, he's really having a hard time figuring out what he's supposed to do because he wants to retire. He wants to be peaceful. He wants to live with these people. He comes to love the community he's fallen into by no choice, which was good deliverance on the part of the movie because he did not choose to be injured. He did not choose to wind up here, but this is where he is, and he has to stay here till he's fixed, basically.
He actually tries to leave at one point in time early on in his recovery, and he can't physically get
Make
to
it?
going. Yeah, he goes like a couple of blocks, and then he's like, "Oh, no, I gotta sit down."
And to be
He
fair,
looks
the
like-
doctor.
he looks like me trying to walk uphill.
To be fair, the doctor that fixed him is actually one of the best parts of the movie. Truly is. That doctor is one of the best parts of the movie.
He's the hero.
Because the doctor, he later on, he asked the doctor, why did you ask me if I was a good or a bad person? And he said, well, because I wanted to know. And he's like, well, what do you think? And the doctor tells him, well, you said I don't know, which means you are a good person. And at first that sounds like, oh, that's credible. That sounds like wisdom. But like, literally
bad man
anyone
would
can
never-
say I don't know.
He said a bad man would never say such a thing. In other words, a bad man will never second guess on whether or not he is good. Because
So-
he'll either say that he is good, or he will admit that he is bad. But only a good man will wonder if he is a good man, because he'll never think that he's good enough.
But the odds of someone just tripping into that answer is too high for that to be wise advice.
Yeah.
It sounds good. Like someone wrote down that dialogue and they're like, man, I'm good at my job. But then when you deliver that line, it's like, I mean, he could have been.
You know what kind of reminds me, you know what it kind of clicked in my head a little bit. What it could be is that this was being made during like the start of the writers' strike. So they could have just grabbed what they could legally use for the movie and just put that all together.
Maybe.
And that's why it seems so jumbled as far as the script goes and what it needs to be said and things like that. Why? Because like I stated in the movie later on, it just seemed like there was a lot of filler there for some reason, and I think that could be because there was so much of the original script that they couldn't use, that they had to only use what basically was supposed to hit the cutting floor.
The beginning of the movie was nice. I think, to me, the best line in the movie was actually the doctor to Denzel. Because at the beginning of the movie, they were all trying to basically respect the integrity of Denzel's character. Oh, he fell down some stairs, or he fell down. Like, they weren't going around saying he was shot or whatnot. The police officer never looked in his bag. The doctor never asked him about, like, what were you doing, what was going on. He did ask him if bad people were still after him, and Denzel said no, and so they left it at that. But the doctor was very shrewd in his details. For example, Denzel asked him, where am I? And the doctor just said, where you're supposed to be, where you need to be. And later on, Denzel, being the guy who everyone was like, "What happened to him?" Oh, he fell. He sees that the police officer that helped him earlier got roughed up by some people, and he goes to see the doctor. And Denzel asked the doctor after he left, "What happened to that guy?" And the doctor looked at him and said, "He fell down." Like,
Equals
Ha-
4, the doctor.
how do you like that? Well, there's a moment where the doctor brought a rifle.
Yeah, there's this.
But that's where like the movie stops being a good movie.
Yeah,
Is right about that line.
it turns into this whole.
Because then Denzel turns into like Mr. Perfect, can't screw up anything. Even though he's like retirement age and his body's not physically fit, he can do no wrong.
he went from a vulnerable, flawed, struggling character to a Mary Sue very quickly.
Yeah,
And
halfway through the movie.
yeah, it was like night and day. The moment when, the moment when the police officer gets roughed up, and the doctor says he fell. That's when it switched. You good, bro?
I don't know if I'm allowed to say this.
Probably not. If you don't know, then chances are no.
I'm gonna text it to you. Keep talking.
Okay.
So, it's just like how I described it to you when we were at the movies last night. It was like you're watching a really good series, and you were really invested into it. You liked the drama. The story made sense. They asked big questions. It got you thinking. And then for some reason, the network that was running the series was like, "All right, we're cutting it. You gotta wrap it up right now." And then all the writers are like, "Ah," and they just gotta like do a patchwork job of making an ending right there on what was really good story. And that's what that whole movie felt like. It was like, this is really good setup. A lot of this stuff makes sense, and it sounded like they had a lot of things that they were setting up to be knocked down later, like some umpteen million Chekhov guns that were going. And then all of a sudden, just like he wins.
He wins, and then there was like this side story with a CIA agent
Who played no role in this movie whatsoever.
played by Dakota Fanning, and she actually does a good job. I hadn't seen her in anything for a while now since.
I thought she had gotten out of Hollywood, to be honest. I don't know if I could say that on the podcast, Tony.
Definitely not. I'm gonna veto that statement right now.
So-
It's funny, right?
It's something. I'm gonna veto that right now, though.
I'm just saying, who would have thunk it?
Nope.
Gran Turismo, on the other hand,
Okay,
was pretty good.
real quick, can I go on a little tangent about this?
Sure.
Do you have any interest in actually seeing Gran Turismo? Do you care if we spoil it?
Oh, go ahead and spoil it, because chances are I'm gonna forget everything you guys say, anyways.
So usual. Okay, so you know how in the trailers they kind of make it seem like Orlando
I've
Bloom.
never even seen the trailers.
Why are you the worst?
I didn't even know it was a movie until you asked.
I knew it was a movie. I knew it was coming out. I just didn't watch any of the trailers.
You were just
Dude, I don't spend a lot of time watching things anymore. Like the majority of my movie knowledge anymore is when either one of you guys is like, "Hey, we should go watch this movie." Some of it, yeah. For the audience, to just let them know, Kenny's in his kitchen and he's like, "What are you doing these days? Playing video games?" And the answer to that is, yeah. I'd like a couple hours on the weekend, play some video games. I Fortnite. Don't roll your eyes.
I will roll my eyes.
Don't roll your eyes. It's a good family game. Family game.
It's family crap.
It's a family game. Hey, I'd be playing COD if, some people actually got on.
I get on. You're just never on when I'm on.
Well, sucks to suck.
You know what's gonna really suck?
In a couple weeks, I got a coworker who's leaving. I'm going to his schedule, which means my days off are changing to Mondays and Tuesdays.
Sucks to suck. We're not changing the schedule for the podcast again.
Well, then you're going to do it without me because I work 4 to midnight.
Kenny,
So
Ian's being dumb.
it's not my choice.
I don't know. I mean, it depends. That's a pretty broad spectrum. I mean, how specific you're.
He's wanting us to move the podcast to Monday or Tuesday
I'm just
because his work schedule. It's not his. He's claiming it's not his fault.
It's really not. I can't control if someone leaves, and I can't control if I'm told to take their schedule. You think I'm happy about this? I'm losing my 3-day weekends, dude.
We're losing a person for the podcast and the D&D. I feel your pain. I'm not happy about it.
I think
Then-
it sucks that they're just moving you like that, and they're
And
not
we're
even
gonna
going to change it because you're not cutting me out of D&D.
Here lies Caesar Bailey. He just can't even right now. With all the white girl energy, he could mess her up. He followed in line like the good little boy he was.
I am fighting every violent urge in my body, and there are several.
You should see a doctor.
I'm just saying that we can't just simply change that.
Yeah, you can.
Why did we move to Fridays and Thursdays to begin with?
So Thursdays was because of him.
Nerd.
Because those were his. Because that was his days off, and then we moved to Fridays because of Taylor.
Wunderbar.
And now they want us to go back to Mondays.
Or Tuesdays. I don't care.
It doesn't matter. Our job requires us to wake up early in the morning.
And then we can do it earlier in the evening.
I'm just saying, your job sucks, bro.
Dude, I know. I hate my job.
Then get a new job.
Not yet. I want 2 years of experience.
Oh yeah, is that the one from this morning?
No, I got another one. I
Dude,
actually got 2 of them.
I want to see the can.
No. That's the last thing you need is caffeine, buddy.
So, yeah.
2 servings per container, by the way.
And this is the second one.
Okay.
You do realize no one cares about that besides you, Kenny.
He's trying to help me stay healthy because I'm trying to lose weight. And all
So, we need to finish up your diet, and then I got another thing in store for you for 2 weeks. It'll be a lot easier for you to do.
that. Okay. I'm probably not going to be able to finish that because of the.
You literally have no time in your day to do that.
Well, it has to be done at the beginning of the day, otherwise it's pointless.
Why can't you do it at the beginning of the day?
Because I don't have time when I get there and when we have to start routes because everyone starts pouring in.
Do it from
I
your car.
have to wake up at I am not carting around celery and hot sauce in my car. That will.
You can bring it in the
you know
morning
how
and then
bad-
store it at work.
You know how bad it will go.
Store it
so quickly.
at work.
Stored at work.
It is stored
What-
at work right now. That's where I was doing it. I was doing it at work. I go to work and then I would.
Then you can do the video in your car
And then put it back in the fridge.
and then put it back in the fridge.
Not doing
You're
it.
smarter than you give yourself credit for.
You're being lazy.
You're lazy.
Depends on the time. Depends on the thing.
You want us to change schedule for you. You're lazy.
As opposed to what? As opposed to what, Tony? I can't just tell my boss no.
Anyways, we're going to start cold plunge for you.
A what?
It's called cold plunge, but
What's
I
cold
don't think
plunge?
you actually have enough ice for that.
I don't have room for that.
Well,
You're talking about.
cold shower would suffice.
You're talking about getting in the cold.
Yes.
Okay, if that has to do with the beginning of the day, I cannot do that. I do not.
No,
have the
this
means.
doesn't need to be at the beginning of the day. I mean, it depends on what you prefer. I like doing it at the end of the day, mostly because I think getting clean before I crawl into bed is nice.
That's when I take my showers. Is at the end
So-
of the day.
5 minutes of cold water at the end of your shower. Let's see if that has an effect on your weight.
I can tell you it doesn't
Why not?
because I do that.
Sad face, unhappy meal. So, surrendering yourself to cold like that, and maybe it's because we're not making you cold enough to actually start burning calories. What it is we're challenging your homeostasis. 98% of the calories you burn, for the most part, is because you're trying to maintain your homeostasis, to include your body temperature. If you make yourself cold, you're burning more calories to try and maintain your body temperature, which can affect your weight. Difficult things for people that are more insulated than others have an easier time maintaining their temperature, so they're not burning as many calories to maintain their temperature. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy for people that are chubby.
So working out in the cold is the best thing to do.
One of the best things you can do. I wouldn't necessarily say do the whole workout in the cold. Like I told him, the cold plunge only needs to be for about 5 minutes, because one of the things that's helping you is a cold shock protein dispensed from your liver that helps burn up stores in your body.
I'm not sure I want to overclock my liver any more than what I
It's
already
not
do.
overclocking it. It's allowing your liver to release cold shock proteins, which help dissolve reserves to help keep you warm now that you're very cold. Your body shunting and trying to keep its core warm is one of the best things, if not the best thing, in a short amount of time to burn calories quickly. More than any cardio exercise, more than any anaerobic exercise. Submitting your body to cold, like a cold plunge, for at most 5 minutes will burn a lot of calories, but you got to get yourself genuinely cold that your body feels like it needs to warm itself up. Now, you don't need to be ice cold necessarily. It doesn't have to be that extreme, but you just have to be cold. Cold enough that your body feels like, I need to warm up. As simple as that.
This explains why when I first started working out at the gym, why I lost all that weight in such a short period of time. Because right after my workout, I would jump in the pool.
And scare the kids.
Gojira!
I didn't scare those kids. They loved it. Free surf lessons.
You drowned 3 of them in a tidal wave.
One of them got out of the
Allegedly.
pool and into the little kiddie pool without wanting to.
You taught one of them how
It's
to
like, I didn't get
waterboard on
into the
accident.
jacuzzi. This is just where I landed after he did a cannonball.
The floaties were no help against you.
The floaties were no
How did
help.
I wind up in the lifeguard chair?
Oh,
Quit running!
quit running, you. The power.
Yeah.
I wish we could do this as a skit, but I don't think we have the ability to do that.
No, we don't. We don't have that ability. That is definitely beyond our budget currently.
But that would be really funny to see. That sounds like some sort of quick little skit they would do on like American Dad or Family Guy. A cannonball and someone gets waved up into a lifeguard chair. Ah! Oh, quit running, you! As the tidal wave's coming. The power.
Speaking of Godzilla, y'all seen the new trailer for the new?
There's a
Godzilla that's
trailer
coming
for
out?
a new movie.
There's a new Godzilla movie coming out.
didn't know there's a new
Yeah, it's coming out around Christmas time. But the thing is, it's not like the ones we've been having. They're going back to Godzilla's horror roots.
Speaking of
It's called
Godzilla's horror
Godzilla
roots,
-1.
speaking of horror roots, did you guys hear that there's a city in Alabama that's causing a bit of an uproar? For what?
No. I did not.
The reemergence of the New York poop train.
Excuse me, what?
Gosh dang.
Alright, and I think I'm done eating. So,
Yes, the
Poop train, huh?
revenge of the New York poop train. New York City's poop train.
you don't say,
I
huh?
do say poop train. That's a real thing that's happening apparently. I read an
Poop
article
train.
on Newsbreak about it a couple of days ago. This is actually what I wanted to talk about on OTR. But yeah.
There's a reason why we took an hour to get to you.
There's a couple of things I want to go over. There's apparently New York is sending its sludge down to the Alabama area, this city, to get the waste processed.
Okay, so it sounds like they're trying to do the right thing.
Yeah.
And then what is it?
And the-
People in Alabama eating it? What's happening?
Did you say are they eating it? Is that what you
Yeah.
just asked?
I don't
No.
know.
No, they don't like it because like it stinks,
Oh, okay.
and so it's
They get superpowers or
it's
something?
Literally loads, cargo loads, train car loads of crap that's being sent from New York City down to Alabama
From New York City.
to be
York City. Was it York City or was it York State?
New York City is what you said.
I know because he said it.
No,
Just now I said it because he made fun of the idea.
New York.
Yeah, he just said that, so I was following in foot.
Yeah, New York. No, it was New York City. It's coming down from there to be processed, and the residents of the area are kind of in an uproar because they're like, God, it's just awful. It just smells so bad. So I just thought that was funny.
I'm gonna open
That
up.
they literally the title of it was their Alabama City scared for the reemergence of the New York poop train.
Sounds like something you'd hear on The Onion.
I double take that.
So-
It's the Federalist that put that out. The Federalist.
Gonna raise a petition to start a new college. New York State poop train.
New York State poop train.
The New York State
As
poop
you know, I've
trains.
been working over in the next town over, and on the route that I was given, at the end of the neighborhood, there is a water treatment facility
Okay.
for the sewer system.
Yes.
I drive by it every day.
Mm-hmm.
It stinks.
What?
It stinks so
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah. Water treatment facilities do.
And there's a guy that I pick up right at the end of the road that lives across from it. And he told me, like, you get used to it. And I was like, no, I
No,
don't think that's
no.
a good thing.
that's not something that needs to happen.
You know what? That reminds me of saying that out loud. There's this really cool line from Skyrim. When you do the Civil War event in Skyrim, there is a guy, a mentor, that you get to choose from, either the Stormcloaks or the Imperials. And I don't think it matters which one you pick, because either mentor you get is going to say the same line. But it's about your second castle in, and they meet you before the raid, and they say, you know, they say it gets easier with time, but I'm not so sure that's a good thing. And he's referring to, like, killing people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, that's a good line. That's
That is a really good line.
that's a pretty good line.
Did it go downhill after that?
I don't know. I'm pretty sure I murdered people. I don't think I even hesitated.
Hashtag default aggressive.
Another piece of news that I came across this last week was Liberty Safe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you have
Liberty safe. We
If-
give up your code defense for a phone call.
yeah, if you have a
Excuse me, what?
you not I'm not joking. So the FBI did a raid on a house, right? Warrant to search this house of this individual for certain reasons. Completely irrelevant to the point that I'm making here. They wanted to seize the property within inside the safe. So they went to the safe manufacturer, Liberty Safe, and said, "Hey, we have a warrant to search this individual's house. We need the backdoor access code to his safe." And they said, "Here you go."
Didn't ask for a subpoena. Nothing.
Now, the fact that they don't have a court order, if they had a court order,
Yeah.
fine, that's a court order, follow the law. But the fact that they handed it over without a court order.
Mhm.
But think about this. There is a person at a company that has access to your safe, to your property. It doesn't matter if it's guns. It could
Valuables,
be
documents.
It could be guns. It could be family heirlooms. It could be tax forms, birth certificates, anything like that. And they came out with a statement saying, "No, we have backdoor codes to all of our safes."
Hmm.
So I'm really glad I don't own a Liberty Safe.
Yeah,
Dang.
yeah.
So these digital safes, I'm guessing.
I think so.
I don't know if you could have a backdoor thing like that in a manual safe.
Yeah.
No, it's a keypad.
Yeah, a keypad, so they have a code that they can give to anyone.
1,
do
2, 3, 4, 5.
There was a vending machine company that if you typed in, they had a back access code like that, you typed in a back access code on the keypad to the vending machine, you could change the prices.
Oh,
0, 0, 0.
And no joke, it was 54321.
oh.
Yeah, that was the code. It was 54321, and then you can go in and change the prices.
What vending machine company was this?
I'm not saying.
I'm going to ask you after this.
That's okay. I honestly don't know the company name, nor do I think that they have that anymore because it was exploited. This was maybe 12 years ago. It was exploded or exploited? Yes.
Exploded? It was exploded over the internet?
It did explode on the internet. It was exploited so much that it took on the internet, and so I'm pretty sure that they've changed it now. But no, the Liberty Safe, it has done that. So that's crap. But some good news here, maybe not for the mouse, but Disney, for the first time in years, 8 years or something like that, their shares are below $80 in stock market.
They deserve it.
Why is this significant, you may ask? Because it's a gradual trending in the decline for this industry, for that company specifically. To the point where they may, through certain mergers that they have, merger contracts and stuff that they have done in the last 5 years, it may bankrupt them within the next 3.
That's insane.
Well, they own a lot of intellectual property.
And they're having to sell it off in order to try to they're having to sell off that intellectual property to try to make any money because
Well,
they've been operating.
They're too big.
They've been operating in 8 years of the red, or 8 figures of red, for
It's
many years now.
they've gained a lot of property, and they haven't grown enough for it to yield anything for them. So they are literally, financially speaking, too big for the britches.
Yeah, and I agree with that, except for that they have it. So they got a lot of property. They could have done a lot, but what they've been
Yeah.
producing lately has
Crap.
not been.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been crap. One of the acquisitions that they had, this is the one that might actually break them. One of the acquisitions that they had was Hulu. Right? We had this discussion online because it was a shock to me that they actually had, it's like something on 20% or something like that of Hulu. They are required per their contract to purchase the rest of those, the rest of Hulu.
Hmm.
They don't have the capital to do that. They actually acquired ESPN and then had to sell ESPN.
Why did they buy E ESPN?
They were buying everything.
What is
They-
Disney's the government?
They were
I
bu-
made that joke a long time ago, but
And
like
then
it's
all of a sudden
becoming
now you-
reality. Disney's going to be the 4th branch of the government,
So they acquired ESPN
overtaking Hollywood as the 4th
And
branch of the
then,
government.
and then they had to sell ESPN, so they no longer own that. And that has only been in the last, I think, since 2019.
It was they had ESPN past 2019 because it was featured on Disney Plus for a while.
I know, but that actually rolled out 2019 was Disney Plus. That rolled out in 2019.
Still seems like a weird thing for Disney to dip its hand into.
There's so much
Sports?
there's so much that Disney has that that people don't think that they should own. But
Like ABC, their own news service.
yeah. They bought that and then they sold that. Now they're doing this thing with the streaming service where new streamers will get it for like $1.99 a month for like the next 3 years or something like that to try to boost the viewership. Come watch The Little Mermaid and Ahsoka for $1.99 a month for the next so on years. They're trying to boost the viewership that they have on there, so it looks better to the shareholders because most people are actually just selling things because they're not making any money. The last 6 superhero movies that have come out this year, we've had 6 that have came out. 2 have been successful. None of them were Disney.
Which 2 were successful?
It was
Because I'm pretty sure Guardians was pretty successful.
Guardians was not as successful. That was a decline in the return, actually. It was
Blue
Across
Beetle
the,
certainly wasn't.
Across the Spider-Verse, that's a Max property. That's a Warner Brothers property.
I know you just said superhero movies that were successful. I was like, well, that one wasn't.
Yeah, it was. So there was there was Across the Spider-Verse that came out, and then crap, I can't remember what the other one was. It might have actually been Guardians of the Galaxy.
That makes sense because think of the other superhero movie that came out this year.
And we're only geared up to have 2 more come out. So out of 8, we're looking at 2 of them being successful, turning a profit.
What are the other 2 that are coming out? Because I know there's the Marvels and then
Aquaman 2.
It's coming out this year.
Yeah.
I haven't seen anything about it.
Yeah. Welcome to the conversation. So that's on the decline. It's dying. It really is. And what I like about this is it's showing a trend in allowing certain things to take on in an industry where you should just be telling stories.
Mm-hmm.
You should focus on that rather than other things because that is what your whole business is. Mads Mikkelsen. Mads Mikkelsen. That's it. He had a it's funny. He had a interview with someone. Now Mads, he's not on the internet. Like he doesn't waste his time
Good
on
man.
social media or anything like that. He had an interview about this Danish movie that he came out with that he's starring in, and the guy who was interviewing was like, do you think that it's going to be a problem that this movie is like predominantly white men and there's not a lot of diversity, and so you might not get an award for this movie? And he looked at the interviewer and so goes, do you think it's a problem? The movie's based in Denmark in like the 1750s. So what are you going to do? He
I want to
said-
watch this interview and this movie now.
Yeah. So do you think he doesn't partake in any of that stuff? He is literally just there to do his job, which is to pretend for a living and tell a good story.
Mhm.
And he does great at it.
I don't like that Disney. I can appreciate a company trying to grow, but I don't like that Disney tries to change the property it buys. I didn't like all new, all different Marvel. I did not care for the woke hero organizations.
Nope.
I did not like how they changed the
here
canon
I
of Star
am.
Wars.
Here I am dancing around saying certain things and whatnot, and then this guy who laid out our code of ethics and what we can and cannot talk about on the podcast says it anyways. We're not going to be decisive or divisive. We're not.
I can
gonna
have an
do all
opinion
that.
about comics. I don't like all new, all different Marvel. If they happen to be woke, so be it. I don't like all new, all different Marvel.
You hear that, woke warriors? We don't like you.
I don't much care for it because it wasn't about superheroes being superheroes. It was about certain members of our culture being superheroes. It wasn't good story writing. It was agenda seeking and virtue signaling.
Yeah, and that kills the industry because you forget about the story.
I don't like all new, all different Marvel. It did not jive well for me. I did not like that they killed Bruce Banner. They killed him anyways. And then someone else came in that was better at writing stories, brought him back because who doesn't just stay dead in comics?
Are you talking about in comics or movies?
In comics.
Okay, comics.
In
gotcha.
in comics, because he died. He comes back. He's got a new thrilling storyline called The Immortal Hulk, which is awesome. But before that, all new, all different Marvel was like, ugh. And they tried making Amadeus Cho the new Hulk guy.
I remember that.
Amadeus Cho, to be fair, was pretty good. He wasn't a bad Hulk guy. I mean, nothing's going to beat the original. But, like, the cast they put Amadeus Cho with was like, nope, not here for that.
Can I ask you a question before you continue on?
Star Wars.
No, not Star Wars.
That's where I'm going after this.
Okay, so this actually kind of fits into Star Wars then. And the whole thing. What is your opinion? And I want you to answer the same question after him. What is your opinion on legacy characters?
Legacy characters?
Terry McGinnis, Miles Morales, Ray Palpatine.
My opinion on legacy characters is that they can be super good, but
Miguel O'Hara.
the thing about having the original is that it's difficult. The thing about originals is that they're the original, and unless there's something genuinely superior about the next one, you're not going to beat the original. And for an example of this is movies and their sequels. The first movie is typically the best out of the entire franchise because it's hard to come up with a sequel that's going to beat out the first one unless you go bigger and better with the next one. But a lot of times these newer guys, these newer people are not bigger and better, at least not without forcing it like Ray. And I don't want a champion picked for me. I want to pick my champion. I didn't pick Ray. Ray was picked for me. Now, when it comes to things like Terry McGinnis and whatnot, I like their characters, but let's be honest, Bruce Wayne is Batman. You can't beat that. Terry McGinnis isn't going to beat that. I like him. I think he's a good story. I think he does tell some good stories, but he's not beating Bruce Wayne. I don't think Nightwing stepping in as the Batman was better. I think Batman as Bruce Wayne is the best Batman. It's difficult to find a legacy character that surpasses the original. And the only time you find legacy characters that beat the original are when the fans choose it. A good example of this is Kyle Rayner over Hal Jordan.
Or
That
John,
was a-
John
that-
Stewart.
That was
John Stewart was the second one.
they did that because I thought Kyle Rayner came after Hal Jordan because Hal Jordan wasn't selling well. So what they did is they brought in Kyle Rayner.
Could you clack that for me? Find out who came next.
Who is the Green Lantern
'Cause
after
I'm
Hal
pretty
Jordan?
sure it was Hal Jordan, John Stewart, Guy Gardner, and then Kyle Rayner.
That's what I thought too.
But they brought in Kyle Rayner because the fans weren't liking Hal Jordan. So they turned him into a villain, brought in Kyle Rayner, and Kyle Rayner's whole backstory was different than Hal Jordan's because they were giving it a different spin. He was supposed to be an artist, and with his artistic vision, he could make constructs that were more entertaining.
And there was actually one before Hal Jordan.
Yeah, but he wasn't necessarily a Green Lantern. It was before they knew what they wanted to do with the whole idea of it. So Hal Jordan was like the first Green Lantern, but the guy before him was like, this is a superhero. We don't know what we're doing with him or what his real identity
That's
is.
kind of like Jay
But then
Garrick.
like they retroactively made him a Green Lantern.
That was kind of like Jay Garrick as the Flash, because it went Jay Garrick, Barry Allen, Wally West. Yeah.
John Stewart was number 2.
Okay.
So
When did Kyle Rayner come in?
Looking.
Because they brought in Kyle Rayner because Green Lantern wasn't selling well and the main character wasn't doing good for his story. So they brought in Kyle Rayner and the fans attached to him, so they made him the guy. That's a story of a legacy character that outdoes his predecessor. Now, I'm always going to be attached to Hal Jordan, and I think Hal Jordan would probably...
Okay, so
I'm of
actually
the
I was wrong.
opinion... What's that?
It turns out it went Hal, Guy, then John.
Wait, Guy was the second one?
Guy was the second one.
Wow.
Then John. Then
Nobody takes
Kyle.
Guy seriously, though.
Kyle comes after John.
But Kyle did come in after because Hal Jordan was still a Lantern because he went through his parallax phase at that time when Kyle was coming in. I'm always going to be attached to Hal Jordan, but I do think Kyle Rayner made for a better Green Lantern. And what made him so successful is that he was an audience choice, not a writer's choice. He wasn't someone that the writer's like, hey, here's your new hero. Like him.
That's my big problem with the Falcon becoming Captain America. Has nothing to do with his race, like the show and the series tried to make it sound like. I have no problem with Sam Wilson being a black man. I have no problem with Sam Wilson being a black superhero. I honestly like Sam Wilson as Falcon. I think the Falcon is a cool character. Captain America is Steve Rogers. I know there have been other Captain Americas in the comics, but Captain, just like Batman is Bruce Wayne, Captain America is Steve Rogers. Everyone else is just a pale imitation.
I like
I
the
don't
character stories though.
I don't think Bucky should be Captain America. I don't think Sam should be Captain America. I honestly think they should have retired the shield with Steve.
I don't mind the story that came of it, just like how Terry McGinnis became Batman,
I
or
don't like Terry McGinnis. I don't.
with Dick Grayson
Sent you a
picking
whole
up the
nother
cowl
actually.
for a little bit. I liked the stories. I had no problem with the stories, but I always liked the original Batman. As the idea of a legacy character, I don't have a problem with them, but I don't pick the legacy character over Batman. But there are a couple of times where we do pick legacy characters. I don't like it when the choice is made for me. I want to pick my champions. I don't want the media to pick my champions for me. You guys probably don't, but I like to watch WWE. And WWE is obviously a very fan-driven media.
Yeah.
There is several people in that show where the writers, so to speak, will say like, all right, this guy's going to win a championship. He's going to carry the franchise for a little bit. There was, for quite some time now, a character on this show who's been champion, and he was not of the people. He was not someone that the people wanted, but they kept pushing him for some reason. And he's held that title belt for quite some time, and no one cares.
Cool.
Roman Reigns.
Cool.
So that's one of those things where a franchise is trying to write a story, and they pick someone to be the hype guy, but the audience doesn't care.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one about having
So
because so I'm iffy when it comes to legacy characters. I like Terry McGinnis, but I've got to say this: the Batman Beyond series with Terry McGinnis as Batman would not have worked if Bruce Wayne wasn't a part of that series. It wouldn't have been the same. I agree with Ian on that one that he isn't Batman. You know, he is just an extension of Bruce Wayne without Bruce Wayne being a part there to mentor him and to, you know, push him towards and to teach him. Then Terry McGinnis is he's Miles Morales.
well, I do like the stories. I do think they can be compelling, but compared to the original, just like with the analogy of movies, it's difficult for a sequel to be better than the original.
Yeah, I agree with that one.
And then I have to be able, as the audience, to pick. I want to be able to choose. I don't want to be force-fed that this is the new, better, superior version. I want to make that choice.
I think that becomes a lot evident. That's why a lot of people, at least from what I had gathered before, the woke garbage got around was, you know, the cartoon series Young Justice.
Yes.
All right, so people actually gravitated towards Connor as a Superboy, right? There's been other iterations of Superboy in comic books, even recent ones now. Jonathan, right? And that's the one that they're. Excuse me. That's the one that they're really pushing right now is Jonathan as a Superboy. Most of the audience still likes the season 1, season 2 Connor Kent.
Season 1 Young Justice is probably one of my favorite superhero television series ever.
Yeah, season 1's amazing. People gravitate towards Connor Kent as Superboy than Jonathan. And, like, Connor Kent actually has less power going for him
Part of what makes him so compelling.
than Jonathan does. You know, Jonathan can actually explode blue lightning out of his being. He's got more power within him than even Clark does.
That's ridiculous.
So, and I think that part of it is because people like a good hero story, and like you said, they want to choose, just like you, they want to choose who they're giving that to, their champion, their people, and they don't want to give it to someone who is just, well, born awesome. I mean, even Ricky Bobby had a character moment. Don't deny it.
I wasn't. I love that movie.
When you think about a story and you're trying to figure out, do I like the legacy character more or less? I know you guys don't know a lot about Naruto, but you know that there's a sequel series called Boruto.
And
Now
it
imagine
is
this,
hated.
because it started as a joke, right? This was the meme. I wish they had a series about Baruto's dad. Have you seen that meme where they say, "I wish there was a series about Baruto's dad because he seems legit."
I've heard you talk about the meme. I haven't seen them yet.
But jokes aside, take that as an actual intelligent question. If there was not Naruto and all you had to base all of your thoughts and opinions about the show was Boruto, would you have liked this series? And oftentimes the answer is no. I would not have liked it. And then if Naruto came out, you would have been like, bro, this is lit. I love this series. That would have been a legacy series. It would have been like a prequel, but it would be a legacy series that would be better than the original. So that's the kind of place you have to put yourself when you ask these questions. If the original media was the sequel or the prequel, and that's how I was introduced into the story, would I have liked it still? Probably not. And then if the original came out later and you're like, that was awesome, then you realize that the original is better then. If you were to swap them in release dates or how they introduce you to the story, oftentimes the original still comes out on top. But if you find that your answer changes because you've swapped them, then maybe you do like the legacy stuff more if that was the original. And oftentimes that's not the case though.
Yeah, another good example for that, you have Naruto and Boruto, the Avatar: The Last Airbender series.
And Korra.
You have LOK and Atla. LOK is not very well received with the original Atla audience. It is for a lot of people now for some reasons, but anyone who started watching just Legend of Korra and moving towards the last 2 seasons of Legend of Korra, there was a drastic decline in the writing quality, character arcs, just receivability of it. And then my kids, for instance, never watched the original series. They started watching the live action Abomination.
What'd you do? It's because you like...
I walked in and when they were like halfway through it and I shut the TV off. Well, that is not allowed in this house.
You just like M. Night Shyamalan too much.
M. Night Shyamalan's a hack. You're right up there with Jar Jar Abrams.
But like, if people started with Legend of Korra and then they watched Avatar: The Last Airbender afterwards, they would have been like, dude, this Legacy series is amazing. And you'd be like, but that came out first.
My kid, that happened. My kids started watching LOK first. Then they watched Atla alongside because I was like, no, you got to watch the real stuff. And they're like, this is actually really cool because there was actual stakes involved, good storytelling, complex characters.
I think I'm going to watch that tonight while I'm cleaning my house.
Avatar: The Last Airbender?
Yeah, they're just going to crack that on Netflix and just clean that in the background.
No. You don't have to do Netflix. Use Paramount Plus. It's on there.
I have Netflix.
Fine.
What are you going to do? Pay for his Paramount Plus?
I have
don't
that
have
too.
to. He has that.
I have that too.
Oh.
If they don't have it on Netflix, it is on Paramount Plus because I don't have Netflix.
I know, that's why you had to
Nerd.
go to my place to watch Extraction and Extraction 2, both of which.
I've seen Extraction 2 on the thing, but when I...
Did you see those memes I sent you?
I sent that to Laura.
The operators we wanted. It's got
James Bond, John Wick, and Tyler Rake, and then under it, it's got like
the operators we got was like Snoop Dogg, Cardi B,
and
or no, Nicki Minaj.
Nicki Minaj, and then a freaking cat.
A furry.
Yeah,
I was sitting down with my roommates and we were trying to watch a movie and I saw Extraction 2 and you guys have been hyping it up for me and I was like, oh dude, we gotta watch this.
Did you watch it?
And we did not because they were like, we're gonna watch Milo, and I was like, what's this? And it was a bad movie. It's obviously got some things it was trying to push, but the overall story is like, don't judge people as a monster, like know who they are first before you just call them a monster. But
Judging is a survival trait.
I did not come into it like, okay, I see the agenda here. I get it. It's about bullying and whatnot. But the humor in the movie was so on point.
That quite literally, if they released a 3-pack, even if they charged me $30 for a 3-pack with Wick, Rake, and Bond, I would buy it.
The humor in the movie was so good. Like, the overall message was corny and obvious, but the actual humor in the movie, I think, is what saved it for me, because I had to sit there and watch it with my roommates. It was so good. There was a moment, this guy is totally innocent, but he's hiding he's trying to prove his innocence, but he's running from the law while he's doing this. And there's this scene where he's trying to hide from some cops, so he runs into a car and he hides. And then a lady comes up to the car and she's like, "So, you want to buy this car?" And he's like, "Oh, yeah, sure, come on." And so she sits in the car and she's showing him all the details of the car and whatnot, and he's like trying to like lean backwards in the car so he's not seen by the cops while she's describing everything to him. And then all of a sudden he hits a button by accident, and then like the car starts like wigging out and whatnot, and the music's blaring. It's like breaking the law, breaking the law, breaking the law, breaking the law. And he's like trying to get the car to calm down and whatnot, and the cops looking over like, "What's going on over there?" And it was really funny.
That is awesome.
There was so much good humor in the show. I loved it. So if you find time, there's obviously going to be some things that are kind of like a drag or a bore or obvious, but Milo or whatever it's called on Netflix is pretty funny.
Netflix. There you go, bud.
He's trying to hide from the cops and breaking the law, breaking the law. And his seat's like elevating and folding him in half, and he's like, "Oh God, why? No!"
I think I'll stick with Extraction 2 and Atla.
Breaking the
You know,
law.
for a series that was only 66 episodes long, it was a really good series.
Atla?
Yeah, I'd say it's one of the best ever made, honestly. Like,
It is a good series. It is good.
It truly is better than it has any right to be.
Yeah.
For an animated kids show.
You guys want to hear something horrible?
Depends.
Toph knew exactly when Aang's heart stopped.
Oh!
Yeah, but I never got to see that, so I don't care.
You're gonna.
That's like extended universe stuff.
No, they're coming out with a Atlas series with them as adults. It's
Yeah,
the
but
in between.
You know, Legend of Korra
Ow.
kind of gives you a happy moment for that because she recognizes Aang and Korra.
Yeah.
So we get to smile after that.
Well,
'Cause she knew when he
so,
died, but she got to see him again.
and that's actually a retcon in that series. Did you know?
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's a retcon in that series because in season 2 of LOK, she actually severs her Avatar connection because Ra dies, and the first one that is severed is Aang's spirit. So that's a retcon because Aang doesn't live in Korra anymore. They stopped it at.
They made it convoluted. It was simple. It was straightforward. Everyone understood what the Avatar line was about. And then Korra was like, "Let's make everything nonsense."
Yeah. Yeah, that was it. I mean, because they learned bending from like the moon or the badger moles or the.
To be fair, I wasn't a
dragons.
fan of energy bending either.
And then there's the energy bending thing. I didn't mind the energy bending thing.
I mean, it wasn't totally bad, but I don't like it when Deus Ex Machina's solution comes out at the end of the season.
Yeah, I didn't mind it all that much. I thought that was just an avatar power though, like he got unlocked. I didn't know that it was that the sea lion turtles went to gift people all of their friggin' bending abilities, because that's not what the previous
Lore was. They learned it
Lore.
from animals.
or elements of the earth, because waterbenders learned it from the moon, and then earthbenders, badger moles, the airbenders were the sky bisons,
Mhm.
and the firebenders were the dragons. Right?
Yes.
That was the lore there. Interesting tidbit though. The sea lion turtle that
Yeah.
gave Aang his energy bending ability
Yar.
was the same sea lion turtle that gave Huang his fire bending ability in
Oh.
LOK. They were both. They were the fire-bending sea lion turtle. It was the exact same one.
Well, how about that?
Yeah, that was weird. Anyways, a little bit of tidbit, but no, that
Not that show is out without flaw, because
What?
having something like that come out of left field, like towards the end, is
Atla.
yeah, kind of frustrating. Because I would like to see him defeat the final boss with a toolkit that he built up across the show, not with something he got right before the fight.
Yeah, it would have been better for him to figure out a way not to have to kill the Fire Lord without giving, like, it was basically given a gun at the end of the series.
Yeah, like I'm not a fan of the solution presenting itself right before the end of the series.
Yeah, he should have been able to find a way to do it without.
I think it would have been cool to do something like, pop one of his vertebrae out of his spine, out of alignment, just completely, like, vegetable him for the rest of his life and just leave him, like, locked in his cell.
Or use
No. This
No.
is a Nickelodeon show, you monster.
Okay, so first off, we're talking about a Nickelodeon show that had mass genocide.
Okay, yeah, but
Monkey
like
also-
vegetabling a dude?
Skeleton Monkey Otso surrounded by skeleton firebenders.
Okay, cool, but that's not showing the death. That is the concept of death.
All right, I see what
The
you're saying.
Avatar wanting to go out of his way to like, I'm gonna cripple a dude and put him in a vegetated state,
I think would have been cool is
which
to-
was totally out of character for him.
I think what could have been cool for him. to do-
Kyoshi,
Kyoshi
Have you seen
So hold on. All right, I
the
want,
AI voice generated conversations they have of Kyoshi just
have.
being like this
I-
deranged person in his head,
I
like the
haven't
devil on his shoulder telling him to kill
I
everything he
haven't yet,
comes
but I
across.
want to go ahead. I want to go ahead and set some records straight right now about Kyoshi. Kyoshi is not the psychopath that the internet is trying to make her out to be.
Mm-hmm.
She was not a murder good person. I read the
murder great person.
She wasn't even a murder great person.
She would have been a part of the Greater Caesar health plan.
She technically, even in the books about Kyoshi, even in those books, she has not murdered anyone.
Yeah.
And in the show that they presented, the one time that they're talking about murder is she broke an island apart and some dude fell. Like the ground gave away underneath him. She had nothing to do with it other than moving land. And then this idiot that's standing on a cliff, half naked, fell to his death. And even then, Aang tried to give her an out with, well, you really didn't actually kill him. He was just too stubborn to move. And she said, personally, I don't see the difference. In other words, she's holding on to remorse and guilt. She's taking the blame that was never hers to begin with. And that's the line that they're like, no, Kyoshi's a cold-blooded murderer.
Or
Now
she's taking the credit and padding her kill reel.
Now, the lady Avatar before her, not
Who is the
Aang.
one trying to tell Aang to kill the Fire Lord?
So that wasn't Aang. It was Li Chung.
No.
the
Who was telling to
waterbender?
try? Who was trying to tell Aang? Because didn't Aang like go to his previous incarnations and they were like,
yeah. So Roku said that he should have killed due to his own experience. Kyoshi said that sometimes you might have to. The waterbender before him, which I keep forgetting his name, Turok or something like that.
oh, I don't know.
He said that he wished that he would have acted sooner because then he wouldn't have lost the love of his life. Then there was the other airbender, Li Chung was her name. Now she is a cold-blooded murderer. She is an evil, twisted one because she's outright said, no, you have an obligation to murder this guy. And in Legend of Korra,
Based.
in Legend of
Based.
Based. In Legend of Korra, there's that bad guy who he develops airbender ability, and he uses it to suffocate the Earth Kingdom tyrant queen. Right?
Uh-huh.
That technique
Was hers.
developed by Li Chung to suck the
Hardcore.
oxygen out of a person's body to kill them. Now that's a murder. Not Kyoshi. Kyoshi has only ever fought and had to kill in self-defense. Literally all continuity.
I did not know this. I do think the internet's pretty funny that they just got this murder hobo Kyoshi.
Kyoshi got the bad rep on this one, but this airbender, she's a pacifist, and she developed an airbending technique of
To murder
assassination.
people.
Beast.
Speaking of
Can't
forms
be
of
on
justice,
pacifism if there's no one alive to be pacifistic.
speaking of forms of justice, you know what's an incredible
Assassination. He's like, speaking of forms of justice, who do you work for?
the government. Where do you think I'm going this weekend? So, a very impressive thing has happened. One Piece is now #1 in 3 different media groups:
Oh, really?
comics, anime, and live action.
Oh, did they finally?
Yeah, they dropped it.
Well,
Yep.
no. What I'm saying is, did they finally get the formula?
I don't know what it is, but it's, in my opinion, I've watched it. It's the best live action adaptation of an anime I've ever seen.
So they finally got the formula.
It's
They finally
amazing.
Figured it out. What we've been
It's
saying
so
for like the last
good.
10 years.
But what is Oda?
Tony, they figured out Dragon Ball Evolution.
What is Oda right now? The creator of One Piece?
You think you can get to yours before I get to mine?
Yes, actually.
To be that guy right now, to have his story be #1 in 3 different medias: comic, anime, and live action.
There is no living with them.
That man must be swole with joy.
Toriyama is ticked. He is so ticked because he's got manga, he's got anime, he's got video games and live action movie. He's got nothing compared to this.
So, one of the things in One Piece is when we're introduced to the highest ranking members of the Navy, there's these 3 admirals: Aokiji, Aki Inu, and the last one is Kizaru. And what separates them, other than their powers, is their sense of justice. Aki Inu is known for, they call it lazy justice. He'll dispense justice eventually. He doesn't mind a good chase. He'll get there. He'll cross the finish line, but he's going to get there eventually. He will let people go a lot of times. He will chase someone down. He'll probably let someone go. He's pretty passive about things. Aki Inu, on the other hand, he's absolute justice. He's like the paladin that will smite anything. He will
Go on.
murder innocent people if he thinks it's gonna help stop crime.
Go on.
Like, he filibustered a whole island because there were maybe pirates on it, killed the whole island, nuked it. It was basically like, oh, Japan's got terrorists on it? Gone.
Cue my perfect still voice. Go on.
You had my attention. Now you have my...
You had my curiosity. Now you have my attention.
So, that's Aki Inu. He is very much death to everything that is considered maybe like a swift hint of injustice. And then there's Kizaru.
Whoa, go back to the civilian mass murderer guy. I want to hear more about him.
No, I gotta do all 3. Kizaru, the last guy, he is chaotic justice. He is like considered the scariest one, not because he's mad or a raging bull like Aki Inu. He's the scariest one because no one knows what he's going to do.
Jaywalking, execution, murder.
Well, it's
2
one of
years
those
in
things
prison.
where he'll just be like, "Oh, pirates. Well, that's convenient. I might have to turn you guys in." Or like another one, like the example you just gave. Oh, a jaywalker, speed of light kick, boom, and then kills a guy. Like, I don't know how to talk to you. Like, it could go from like very good to very bad out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And since he's got the light fruit, he can do it at the speed of light.
Kind of sounds like someone we work with.
So we got these three forms of justice, and they all don't necessarily collide well with each other. Part of the story in One Piece is that Aokiji and Aki Inu don't like each other because one's passive, one's very active in the role of justice. So when Akainu got promoted to Fleet Admiral after Sengoku retired, Aokiji's like, nope, not working for you, not going to happen. So they fight to see who becomes the new Fleet Admiral. And it is one of the most metal things ever, because one's got absolute control of ice, and one has absolute control of lava. And they fight. They get an island to fight on. And I think it takes them, if I'm remembering this right.
And between the two of them, they make a bigger island.
They do. They forever change
Called it.
the climate of the island. And to add to how metal this fight is, the island's called Punk Hazard.
Oh,
Tell me that's not a metal name.
whoever wrote that needs a high five.
The island was forever changed.
Punk
Half
Hazard.
of it is a glacier. The other half is a lava flow.
That feels like that should have been our YouTube name. Punk
Now,
Hazard.
Aokiji lost. He lost to Aki Inu. So the Red Dog became the new Fleet Admiral. And the Blue Pheasant, as what his name means, retired. Since he lost, he didn't want to work under Aki Inu, so he retired.
Hmm.
And later on, he becomes a pirate, which is hilarious. Because he takes on the concept of freedom being a pirate thing. It's one of my favorite storylines in the entire show. It's so metal. When we get introduced to these characters, it's one of those things where the main cast that we've been following, we've seen them overcome some serious obstacles. They got no-diffed by Aokiji when they first met him. So already these characters were like gods compared to the cast that we've been following. So the spectacle that was for us to watch these guys fight was awesome. And then Kizaru, the third guy, is just like, I'm just going to do whatever anyways. Now, he follows orders, but like he's still got that Deadpool I do what I want vibe all the time. And what's super funny, or I should say ironic about his character, is that he's got the light fruit, the devil fruit, so he's able to imbue his body with light, which makes him super fast in things that he chooses to do. But as a person, he's very slow and drawn out. Man, this is a bummer. I don't want to be here right now. Hello? Is someone there? Who's talking to me right now? And then out of nowhere, just boom, speed of light kicks someone and kill him, sending him through a building. It's like, yeah, it was a pirate.
I like this guy.
It's the three admirals. It's like, I like One Piece. I used to think One Piece was too crazy and unfocused, but what Oda does really well is he's got a serious story, but he always keeps the childlike humor to it throughout the whole series. So it's going to look unfocused from the outside a lot of times because it doesn't stay serious all the time. There's always going to be that childlike humor throughout of it. That's the point of Luffy as a main character, is he's always going to maintain that Tom and Jerry-esque humor. That's why he has the devil fruit he does. That allows him to stretch his body. He's supposed to be cartoon physics manifest.
Nice.
So he's always going to have that humor to
Anime
his
Reed
story.
Richards.
So yes.
I have precisely nothing to contribute to this because I don't watch anime at all.
It'll change your life.
It's. I mean, don't even try to watch One Piece at this point in time. It will literally take a lifetime to watch.
Why not? Just try it. Or at least watch the live action. It's only 4 episodes so far, and it's amazing. Now, it cuts a lot of the content out and really summarizes a lot of it, but it's still good.
So it's basically a live action abridged series.
Kind of, yeah. It tries to stay true to the story. They changed Garp a little bit. They took one of the villains out entirely and kind of killed him off with some other character that didn't kill him, but it it was good. Nonetheless, it was good. It was a good watch, and I think you guys would like it if you watched it. 4 episodes. That's all it is. 4 episodes, 50 minutes long each.
I might have to. I might have to spoof a free trial of Netflix just to watch a few things.
I
that are
recommend
on
it.
there.
If you want to see an anime turned live action done right, One Piece is the one to go to. Otherwise, I recommend Mob Psycho 100 because the live action for that one was hilarious.
That was the one that David was telling us about.
Yeah, he's the one that showed it to me.
Podcast.
I
Yeah.
watched it. It was amazing. It was so funny.
Yeah, I might go ahead and do that and snake me a free trial of Netflix to just so I can snag a few, because there's a couple of other things on Netflix, like they're only on Netflix, that I want to watch too, and I can't remember what they are off the top of my head.
Well, they still have One Punch Man. Hopefully, they're going to come out with new stuff on that because that story is. I like One Punch Man for what seemingly looks like a satirical show. It's got a very serious and well.
Driven.
Not driven. It's got a serious concept driving it. Necessarily, I wouldn't say it's necessarily well driven, but the concept is serious. The action we see is sometimes satirical. Even the concept could be considered satirical, but I don't think it's a satirical show. I think it's serious, and a lot of the plot, a lot of the questions it asks, when it begs the question, a lot of times it's a very serious mindset that they take on with their characters. And I think the story lines themselves are well put.
For everyone that's not Saitama.
Well, here's the thing. Even Saitama is faced with a lot of questions. The whole concept is, what do you do when you're on top? Because even from the very beginning, the series is asking the question, what do you do when there's nothing left to do, when you're already on top? He even outright says this as a character to another person in the first episode. It's boring on top. It sucks. It's not fun anymore. The light has left my eyes.
Yeah, he said that when he was fighting
The giant.
in his dream.
Big. Yeah, he probably did say that in his dream. But he definitely said it to, I think his name is Beefcake, the giant in the very first episode.
Yeah, that guy. I remember.
But there's a lot of funny humor to that show, but it really digs at a lot of interesting concepts in the show itself, and the dialogue is good. The characters are well written, and the interactions do bring about a lot of scenarios where even the audience is faced like, well, what is the right thing in this? And what I like a lot about it is that Saitama doesn't have the answers. He is the strongest guy. He's going to win the fights he's in. But he doesn't have the answers that we're looking for the questions that even himself he poses. He's not the ethical guy. He's not the morally upright guy even a lot of times. He does wrong things from time to time. He can be frustrated. He can get angry with things. He can be goaded into doing certain stuff. He's not incredibly smart either. But he still tries. He admits that he does it mostly for the fun aspect of it, but he still tries, and he's trying to help other people along the way. And kind of, it's not a shonen manga, or at least I don't think it is, because it's illustrated by Murata nowadays. But in Shonen Jump fashion, he's the kind of guy that attracts other people to him, either by his incredible strength or by the fact that he's willing to step out of a comfort zone and help other people when other people are worried about status or capability or politicking. He's more worried about, like, this guy needs help. I'm going to help. It's as simple as that. It doesn't need to be difficult. It just help. But he doesn't necessarily have the answer for things. He just wants to help. And in just that simplicity on him ends up becoming comical, such as One Punch Man. It's as simple as I punched a guy, I won. It's as simple as I showed up to help and I helped. Problem solved. And everyone else around him is, amazed by this, but they can't live that way, so it makes their stories compelling, like Genos. He goes through a lot of turmoil in his side story following Saitama because he tries in such great desperation to achieve all the things that he wants to become like Saitama, and he's not ever really going to get there, but it's fun to watch. One of the best things about One Punch Man is the character King.
Right, the guy who's just always in the right place at the
right time.
Oh,
And he's a great liar.
Wrong place, right time is what I meant to say.
Because he is conceived to be the most powerful thing in verse, and he has no powers or ambition or ability whatsoever. But he has killed people through sheer intimidation, and everyone convinces themselves of his superiority in just about every situation that has ever arisen. Let me tell you a funny story.
Yeah.
So this character King, he likes dating simulator games, and he makes his own. He's a moment where he's in a cafe and he's writing his own fan fiction of a dating simulator. Okay. He's a S-class hero. People fear him. There's these assassins that come to kill him in this cafe.
1 second.
There's
Well, just to give you.
I know what S class is.
I was going to give you the backstory on King. Everything that Saitama does, they attribute to King.
Oh, jeez.
They think that he is the One Punch Man. That is what is going on here, and he's a beefcake of a person. Like
he looks intimidating too.
Intimidating.
He looks like Liam Neeson if he had like 3 scars over his eye.
And he was as big around as The Rock.
He's a big dude.
He's a big boy.
But
Yeah.
he's in this cafe and he's writing a script out for his own fanfic of a dating simulator. And the nurse comes over and everything he does looks like it just has such a huge, immense amount of intimidation to it.
Mm-hmm.
Can you go into the back and get me some sugar? And all the assassins, mind you, they're like stalking out this place. Like one of them sitting in the booth behind him, one's at the bar, one's saying pretending like he's got to go to the bathroom, but he's like standing in the hallway. And they're all like, oh, he must know what's about to go down because he's sending the waiter away into the back so she doesn't have to see what's about to happen. And then, but like in his own mind, he's like, oh, I'm a grown man and I'm writing fan fiction for a dating sim. What is my life? And then he starts saying the dialogue he's writing out loud because he's trying to like listen to it. So it's like, you don't have to do this. And the guys are like, wow, he's talking to us. He knows what's going on. You don't have to do this. There's another way. This can be peaceful if you just let it. And the guys are all like, no! And they like leave. They're like, nope, done. I'm out. And and they just freaking leave. There's a time where he fights, I don't remember if he's like some sort of insect monster and whatnot, but the guy sees King, and he just from the idea of King, like just from what he's been told, he's like, it's King. And then has a heart attack and dies. And everyone's like, dude, King just killed that guy with sheer presence. And this whole time, though, King as a person is terrified. So there's this concept with King. It's called the King's Engine. It's whenever he gets into battle mode, you can hear the dun dun, 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 dun dun. It's his heartbeat because he's terrified. But everyone thinks it's the King's Engine, and they think it's his aura. But it's his King's Engine, and it means he's about to attack you. But no one's ever made it to the end of the King's Engine. Because they freak out, have a heart attack like that guy did, retreat, whatever. There's a moment where, and the only person that knows the truth is Saitama. And Saitama, when he first confronted him about it, he's like, oh, so that's what you're going to do? All right, well, at least you're helping. Whatever. And he works with them. They hang out together. Also, King is like the world's greatest video game player, which is hilarious for a couple of different reasons.
Buff gamer nerd.
He's the world's greatest video game player, and Saitama was like creeping up on him, but he just couldn't beat him. So that's what they do. They hang out and play video games all day. That's amazing.
There's I don't remember where I was going with that.
Fun fact, you mentioned Dwayne Johnson earlier. Did you know I'm as tall as Dwayne Johnson is? I'm actually taller than Arnold Schwarzenegger. That's
Well,
hilarious.
Arnold's not that tall.
Arnold's 6'2".
Is he? I
Arnold?
thought he was short.
No, Arnie. No, that's Stallone. Stallone's short.
Yeah, Stallone's a little taller than I am.
Yeah, no, Arnie's 6'2". I'm 6'5". I can literally look Johnson in the eye. I am literally same height as Dwayne Johnson.
Get to
Dang.
those push-ups. I'll start calling you the Pebble.
There's a moment where King.
No.
Well, we'll say that for another time. Thank you guys for joining us on
We're
another
only
episode.
at 55.
You're only at 55, and I spoke it anyways. I guess I'll finish the story about King, and then we'll do it. There's a moment where another S-class hero named Atomic Samurai is going through like a midlife crisis. He's like, I need inspiration from the younger generation.
There's something in your hair.
It's probably this.
No, it's like right here.
Is it bugging you that much?
It has been for a couple hours. I'm just trying to.
Okay, well, we're going to
It's
figure
better
it
now,
out
right?
later. But Atomic Samurai is like, I got to do something. I got to get inspiration. I'm feeling old and out of place now. I think the next generation is overcoming me. I'm going to get inspiration from them. So he goes to King because he's the strongest guy alive. And he's like, King, I need you to do something for me. And King's like, well, what do you need? And Atomic Samurai says, I can learn about everything a man is by how he swings a sword. I want you to cut this apple. And King's like, oh, okay, I could do that. Takes the sword from Atomic Samurai. It's a katana. And he tries to unsheath it, and he can't. And so he's sitting there like... And so he puts the katana down, stands up, and walks away. And Atomic Samurai is like... No! He cut it so fast, it doesn't even know it's been cut yet. He cut between the molecules so that it's not even cut, but he cut it. And the Atomic Samurai is floored by this. He's like, there's no way. He's so much better than me at cutting things.
King is just like, nah, I'm good.
And King's like, he knows the truth. I'm busted. He doesn't know that Atomic Samurai is like, this guy's amazing.
It is one of the better animes out there. I remember watching it, and it was just like awesome.
If someone wanted to watch it with me after hearing all this, I could be possibly.
Don't do it on
convinced to watch
Netflix because they don't have the dub version. So
Yeah,
unless you want to
Hulu.
watch subtitles the whole time,
Hulu has it. Hulu has the dub version.
it's good.
That's how I watched it.
Even season 2 is dubbed, so you can watch season 1 and season 2. It's hilarious.
I could consider if someone would watch it with me. I would consider watching that.
The God tier fly in episode 2. God.
That's awesome.
The God tier.
Really quick before we close out because we're at 1:57. I want to interject the theory. There's a theory about One Punch Man that Saitama actually started the Heroes Guild.
I don't know if that's a theory, and here's why. Because the guy he saves in episode 1 is the son of the guy who is the corporate backer of the project that made the Hero Association.
Exactly.
And I don't think it's a theory. Like, that's fact.
Well, so it's been presented to me as a theory because it wasn't like confirmed or whatnot, but it's like,
No, well, I mean, those events in that order is canon.
well, yeah, but they didn't. So did they show that kid was actually his? Yeah, I thought it was his grandson. But did they
I believe
show
it's
that
his
that
son.
kid was actually related to him? Because the
Yeah.
only it did. Because
Yeah.
they said that the only the way it was presented to me was that the only connection that they had between the two was the fact that they were both Volchinians.
Well, I mean, that implies some...
that they both sported the scrote T.
I think it's there to imply a connection and
But-
ultimately
But
crack a joke that Saitama is the origin story of the Hero Association.
Saitama is the origin story to the Heroes Association, full of a bunch of heroes that thinks he is a C tier.
He's actually in the bottom
Hero.
of A right now. As far as the story's gotten, he's bottom ranked of A.
In the manga?
Yeah.
Okay. But
And
yeah,
here's
they think he's useless, worthless. He's so unassuming. They can't even stand this guy being in the Heroes Association, and they don't know that the only reason why they have a job is because of him.
Yeah.
Before he had power.
What's weird about the continuity in One Punch Man is the webcomic, the manga, and the anime all have different stories. Because one, the writer of the webcomic has a certain story. Murata, the mangaka artist, writes the manga in a different story, and then the anime writes it in a different story. It's so you get 3 different stories all told running along each other simultaneously. They're
kinda
not
like
drastically different stories, but they're pretty much the same storyline. They're just different characters are introduced at different times. Different fights take place. Certain characters survive. Certain other characters continue on.
I kind of like that. That's kind of like The Walking Dead, because The Walking Dead has its comic book and its TV series.
And
That
the
being
games
said,
coming
we
out.
are at 2 hours. We're at the top of the hour.
Yep.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight on another episode, our 25th episode of Off the Rails.
Wow.
Yar.
I know, right?
That's 25 weeks of going hard.
25th. And so we want to thank everyone for joining us and listening in. Make sure you hit the like, share, subscribe button on all the social media stuff. By now, you should know what they are. If not, then they are Twitch, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, Rumble, other stuff. I can't remember off the top of my
That's
head now.
6 months of live streaming.
Well, and we've actually been streaming longer than
But
that.
for Off the Rails specifically,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
6 months of
25
content.
25 episodes. So, yes. Thank you, everyone. Make sure you do the like, share, subscribes. I am Tony, the guy who's sitting here pushing all the buttons, and I was joined with this guy.
Ian, who sat here trying to push everyone else's buttons, but didn't really do a good job of this episode. It was really
You have
heavy.
failed.
Oh, what do I pay you for?
You don't pay me at all.
Accurate. He's a partner.
I've been your host, Kenny. It is weird not being the first person to talk about this part. This is the first time I was not the first one to talk.
I have usurped you.
It's about time I got you to shut up.
And as always, it's your move, Internet.